We're gonna start this off with a quote from um, Mr. John Lovell, I believe is how you say his last name. The quote is, "There are many good shooters who are horrible fighters," and I just want to talk about that for a second because I get the feeling um, when talking to a lot of people, especially online, right, who believe that if they become good shooters, they will ultimately be good in a gunfight. And that what that does, if you think that way, then those who have actually been in it and experienced it can point out who's just yapping their mouth and who knows what they're talking about. You know, uh, you're easily pointed out. Like it's obvious you don't know what you're talking about, right? Um, because so many people go, oh well, you become good at shoot, then when it happens, the muscle memory will kick in, and it's like there's so much that goes on in a gunfight or saving your life via a firearm when death is knocking at your door and you need to survive it. There's so much that comes to play in those situations, and it's not always easy to explain, you know. And so when you get the guys that are like, oh, you know, I'll take this uh, prime time competition shooter over this experienced guy who has been through it and survived and won, but isn't really a good shooter. And that blows my mind that people will take the competition shooter over the person who's been there and done that. That's mind blowing to me. But that lets me know again, it not just me, but it lets a lot of uh, people who are truly in the know, who truly live this, experience this, and know what's what. You know, it's one thing to experience something one time, even, um, even though to me, depending on what happened in that one time, that can be enough. You learn so much from that one situation. You know, you can learn so much, and it's a trip. You know, when you're in, I'm gonna call it hell, okay, or the moment of truth. When you're in the moment of truth, it's so crazy. It's moving so fast. It's moving so slow. As crazy as that sounds, that's real. It's moving so fast, it's moving so slow that when it's all over, especially if you experienced it with someone, right? When it's all over, you'll you'll see the two people or five or whoever was all there. You know, if you were, you know, in war and you and your buddies were in a firefight, they'll come back and talk about what happened afterwards. Like, man, so the guy, I seen him over here, and As soon as I seen him do blah blah blah, I just fucking opened up, and then the other guy would be like, dude, I seen your body movement, and when I seen you doing that, the guy over there, his eyes were on you. They were dead on you. And so I tapped him over to the right, and he was like, I got him. It like everybody will like come together and start putting together what just happened, because when you're in it, it's like, I don't want to say dreamy, but it's surreal. Like it's nothing like you've ever experienced in your life, ever. Combat, survival, the moment of truth is wicked. There's nothing in this world you can do to match the experience of that. Okay, so, and not even coming close. You can go bungee jumping and you're not gonna feel the the same intense adrenaline and just everything that comes with that. And adrenaline alone changes everything. When you have a max adrenaline dump going on, your body lets off all different types of chemicals, all different types of things start happening. You are not working like a regular human being anymore. You are working as an entity that knows it's about to die. And so it needs to do everything within its power, conscious or subconscious, to stay alive. Period. It's just survive, just live, just get through this. I don't care what it takes, just survive. And not only is your brain, are you thinking this, not only are you feeling this, but there's other things at stake going on with your body automatically. Look, when you get a cut, okay, if somebody takes a knife and cuts your arm, you start bleeding. Eventually, what happens? It dries up, your body creates a scab, and then eventually the scab goes away. Do you have to think about it to do that? You don't. Your body does this naturally. There are tons of things that your body does naturally. You don't have to try and do it, it just does it. Dreaming. You don't try to dream. You don't purposely go, all right, let me try to think of something and dream, and it doesn't happen. Your body naturally dreams. It's the same thing when you are in war, when you're in the moment of truth. Your body naturally does things, naturally by itself, that you've never felt before in your life, that you've never experienced before in your life. And nothing close to it, right? And so those who have been in it understand this all too well. So when somebody says something like, "Oh, a good shooter, a great competition shooter, he'll kick ass in a gunfight," it's like, yeah, maybe, right? If he happens to have all those uh, good natural attributes that make a good gunfighter, because there are things that you just kind of have to be, like, certain things can be taught and trained as far as actual gunfighting. I'm not talking about being a good shooter. That can kiss my ass. I'm talking about being a good fighter, survivor, okay, gunfighter. In order to become that. You can train for it, you can be taught it, but a lot of it is like a natural gift, because a lot of that has to do with how fast can you adjust to what's going on. How fast can you go, okay, that's not, no, that's not a good, like you're, and I'm gonna tell you something. When you're in that moment, you are able to think faster than you've ever thought in your entire life. Okay, I don't, it could be a what's it called? It could have been a math quiz. It could have been a spelling bee. I don't care what you've experienced in your life. When that kicks in, your brain is moving so fast. It's unbelievable, because your brain goes, all right, listen, I need everything we are capable of. So when they talk about, oh, the brain, you only use 10% of your brain or whatever, I would like for them to study what goes on in the brain when somebody is at their max, when it's survival time, when it's I'm going to die now and I gotta live. I love for them to study the entire brain when that's going on, because I guarantee you are using so much more, because your brain is going, look, everything we have to use it now, or else we're never going to be able to use anything ever again, period. Your brain knows you're about to die. Okay, like that's who you are. You're your freaking brain, dude. You know, okay, you're not your legs, you're not your heart, you're your brain. All right, and so some things you can control on your own, some things your brain does by itself, and that plays out during the moment of truth. So, with that being said, yeah, and again, some things can be taught, some things are it's a gift, it's natural. A lot of the people who end up being Green Berets, who end up being Navy SEALs, Delta Force, special, just special, special forces, they're picking out people who have usually who've been in combat and was able to adjust and figure out problems in the middle of an intense fight. When it's like, oh shit, this is it, we're about to die, and somebody's like, hey, move here, Johnny, put 5 rounds in the, and he just comes up with something and they live. That guy, that's the guy who ends up being in, some type of special ops, some type of special group, because he's shown that he has the natural ability and or just the ability to adjust, to make it out of hell when everybody else is panicking, or like, what do we do, it's all over. That one guy will go, no, 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 no. He has an overdrive. His brain gives him some extra that the others aren't getting. That's the guy. I don't care if he goes out to the range and he starts shooting and his group looks like this, and then you take some competition shooter and their group looks like this, that means almost nothing to me. That simply means you are a good competition shooter. You should compete, get you some medals and maybe make a living out of it if you're good enough. But that doesn't mean anything when it comes to the moment of truth, survival, gunfighting. That doesn't mean much at all, because that guy who's grouping like this, he knows how to live for real. He knows how to survive and win a fight. Your perfect cool groups and all that, you might a gunfight ensues, somebody starts shooting back at you, you might shit yourself, you may freeze up, you may run, you may retreat, you may go into a state of panic to where you don't know what to do. Being a good shooter is the smallest percentage of what you need to survive the moment of truth in most situations. Um, there's rare times where you need to be able to be a great shot, um, plus, right, which would be snipers, right? Um, that kind of a thing. So there is that. Um, Snipers are special people. They really are. They're kind of like the do it all almost kind of guys. Snipers are awesome people, but they're not always the best pistol shooters, right? You some of those snipers, they'll tear your butt up at 800 meters, but you give them a handgun, put a Glock 19 in their hand at uh, 15 yards, and you know their groupings are okay, right? It's nothing super special or anything. They're okay groupings, and that's about it. But you put a rifle in their hand, and we're talking a different story. It's 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 different. Rifle shooting and pistol shooting, they're different. There are similarities, but they're different. So yeah, maybe that rant's long enough. I just want to touch on that. It's just something that I see a lot, and I shouldn't get too bent up on social media, but the truth of the matter is, social media is also real life. There's real life people on there speaking, talking, putting their opinions out there. Um, so to a certain extent, you know what I mean. It's and so when I'm online, and I'll see some people and their thought process on the whole thing is just, and they will not listen to someone who's like been there, done that. They're like, oh, no, no, no. It's mind blowing. It's like what they have fixated in their head of what it's all about. You can't change that. You can't tell them nothing else. They've got it down pack. And those are the ones that end up dead on the battlefield, or they're the ones that, when it does go down, their personality changes. They shut down, like they become somebody different. There's so much that comes with this, and so much of it isn't talked about that much, but it's just, there's a lot that comes with it. And it's not as simple and basic as a lot of people think. Those keyboard warriors, they know it all. They don't know shit. They don't know jack. And to the real warriors, it's clear. It's very evident. You see those people talking, they're just like, yeah, no. And game recognized game. My boy from Arm the Populace, man. Me and him, we're here, because we're not military guys, which there's a lot to learn from combat veterans. A lot. I can tell you a few things that I learned from combat vets. But we've experienced something different. Um, and I believe he's also been involved in something where he was alone, like I have. I've also just, been with a buddy where I saved, I had to save the situation. I was the savior, and everything in between. We understand each other. We talk the same language, and that should tell you something right there. You know. Well, that's that. Keep your mind focused. Don't be a know-it-all. Listen to those who've experienced it. That makes a lot more sense. Whammy out.